So, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the European Marketing Agenda 2024, the webinar webcast from the European Marketing Confederation. My name is Ralf Strauss. I do have the pleasure to be the chairman of the board of the European Marketing Confederation. We do have a pretty condensed agenda this afternoon. Thomas, if you could be so kind to go one step further down. So, short introduction by myself, which I'm currently doing. So I will give a short presentation about the main results of the European Marketing Agenda 2024. Just a couple of elements, pieces which have been striking my mind. Then I do have the pleasure for an interview with Aidan Connolly from the UK, plus a panel discussion about what I call always the schizophrenic situation in marketing. So a couple of things are currently clashing together, which we can also see in the numbers and the figures out of the European Marketing Agenda. So, and all the tour de table. So if you have any questions, just pull them in the chat. My lovely colleague Thomas will pick them up and shout them also within the webinar. So I get started. I have the pleasure to get started. Presentation of the results of the European Marketing Agenda 2024. Let's get started with this. I will try to make it as nice and easy and entertaining as ever possible. I called it AI Takes Over. So the interesting piece from my perspective is, if you go one chart down, Thomas, is we have been surveying more than 8,000 CMOs, senior marketing executives and marketing board members across Europe within the European Marketing Confederation, and basically asking them questions for what are your key topics for 2024? What are your biggest challenges, your biggest barriers? How do you deal with customer experience management? I'm an old CRM guy, so I've been talking about CRM and customer experience management since, not sure, 25, 30 years. How do you manage AI? So how do you organize AI? And also, second question, how do you manage and organize sustainability? How serious do you take sustainability? Is it just some sort of lipstick service, or did you already change processes, tactics in marketing, particularly with regard to sustainability? All in all, out of the 8,000 people we asked, we got almost 1,300 full answers, which I hope a couple of you guys on the call and the webinar have answered the questionnaire. My deepest thank you to everybody who've been answering the questionnaire. Over the years, we are conducting the survey for the last 5-6 years. We're getting more and more responses year by year. And every year we do have the pleasure then to issue the European Marketing Agenda in full. If you want to have the full brochure, you can download it under emc.be. There's a link where you can directly download the entire marketing agenda. If you go down one step down, Thomas, one thing what we've been asking is, what is your overall strategic focus in 2024? What is it? So still from the majority, almost half of them, everybody's saying brand management and reach upper funnel. So while we are doing digitalization and marketing operations and implementation of marketing tech and AI, still it's the brand which is still all in focus. Basically, my mother would have said, it's not and or, but it's more an and combination between those topics, which also will bring stress to the organization. Since it's not saying we're not doing a brand anymore, we just focus on AI, or we're just focusing on data analytics or on online marketing. No, it's an and. We are doing this and the other. So focus still is on brand management, but if you look for more the operational topics, one step down, something comes up which has not been on the radar screen the years before, AI. So if I look in the European Marketing Agenda, the last years, 2022 and 2023, I guess only 1% or 0%, something like that, said artificial intelligence is top of mind. In 2024, it's jumping from 0 to hero, followed by digital marketing and total and customer experience management. And the discussion I would like to have with the roundtable a little bit later is, number one, what are you guys doing in artificial intelligence? So is it already an operational scenario, or is it just greenfield? Number one. Number two is, as I'm an old CRM guy, customer experience management has been on top of the agenda for the last 5 years. Why have we not been able to change it? Yeah, in terms of saying yes, we have solved it already. Since, as I said before, customer experience management CRM is pretty old already, 25, 30 years. So operational areas and project in 2024 is heavily driven by customer experience management, digital marketing, and AI. So everything coming together as a way into the Via Dolorosa into data-driven marketing and sales is still top of mind. And this is not only a tool question, but also everybody's saying this has also to do massively with internal processes and how you're managing customers. Question we also had, now what are your top challenges and barriers in 2024? Which just been blowing me away, to be honest with you. Collection and quality of distributed customer data is still top of mind. Again, we're having fancy discussions about AI and the future of marketing and stuff like that. Probably 20 years ago, if you would ask the same question, probably pretty much the same items and results would have been coming out. So still, consolidation is top of mind. Plus the lack of understanding and knowledge of how AI will really change the business. So we don't know it. And we also conducted a couple of interviews in addition to the quantitative survey. And basically the statements out of the interviews were, yes, everybody's talking about AI, but do we all have the same sort of understanding? What do we mean with AI? This is causal AI, this is Gen AI, this is large language model. So what is it? What is behind? Number one. So we are looking for people who have the knowledge and can help us really understand how this then, if we have the same understanding, will change our business. We don't know it. Plus, in combination, consistent customer experience across all touch points. So only something like 20% of companies have implemented CRM successfully, 20%. So it means on the other side, that something like 80% have been buying a CRM system in the previous years, but have not been able to really bring it into some sort of operational living. Okay, you've been spending tons of money with CRM systems and stuff like that, but you're not able really to get the full value out of those systems. Holy shit. So this is the situation, top challenges and barriers. We're going to pick those elements up in our discussion a little bit later. If you get one step down, Thomas, also, since I'm a nasty guy, we ask also more detailed questions saying, do you have the right collaboration management models in requirements management? Or do you have the right data strategy in place? Or do you have some sort of a documented target picture of processes and organization? Or do you have the full customer journey detailed in macro and micro processes? Every time something around only 1/4 says, yes, we have a complete customer journey outside in, we do have a data strategy, and we know what we are doing, and we have some sort of collaboration models between business and IT, also when it comes to requirements management and selecting tools. Let me phrase it in a different way. So why, it's like in Toys R Us sometimes, yeah, buying Martech and stuff like that. So everything is fancy, everything is cool, but my mother would have said, son, do your homework first. Get my point? It's sometimes the homework has not been done. If only 25% say we do have an outside-in data-based understanding about our customer journey, so why in the world are you buying Martech if you do not have the proper underlying understanding about our customer journey? Doing homework first. And I was always asking myself in the last century why pretty often CRM projects fail. I do think one of the reasons is here. It's models, it's tools, it's methodologies, plus doing homework, like customer journey, which has not been done before. Just buying a tool does not solve anything. A tool like Martech or CRM systems or whatever, however, it's just an enabler for making processes and customer interaction better. But if you do not have a proper understanding about the customer interaction or the customer journey and touch points, what is needed, how can we successfully implement the tools afterwards? It's just impossible. So the root cause for many CRM projects which have been failing is basically laid out here. If you get one step down, Thomas, the issue is also we ask them what is in your focus, yeah? we want to have more data, better insights, journey, we want personalization. So 95% always told us, yes, we want to have that. But how do you want to have more data, better insights, personalization again, if only 25% have defined outside in based on data the customer journey? So it's one thing. My wife would say, yeah, darling, if you want to have something, then you need to do something about it. You want to have personalization, data-driven marketing and sales, but the homework still has not yet been done. Thomas? So, and sometimes it's, I brought you an example, which is all a part of the European marketing agenda. Just a simple customer journey mapping analysis shows you weaknesses along the customer journey. Is your website failing? Do you have problems in the call center or at whichever touch point? So, and we ask also in some of the interviews, everybody understands the logic, yeah, which is good. And we ask also within the interviews, so why are you not doing this? And basically everybody's fearing to have nitty-gritty, nasty details and need to drill down in nitty-gritty details. But on the other side, when they then select software or trying to implement software or stuff like that, they fall behind because they have not done their homework. Again, coming back to my mama, do your homework first. Thomas? And AI, coming back to this part, so the majority of companies across Europe is in the planning phase, or we are playing around with Gen AI, developing text, content, pictures, images. It's an exploratory planning phase. We sometimes have first pilots going on, but the primary focus is in content production. My strong belief is, but we're going to have a discussion on that later, that the real value of AI will come if we marry data science analytics with AI application, so-called causal AI. So then next best offer management. So really not only content production, which is good as a starting point, but really having something like being bound within data science or customer experience management, like next best offers. So we are still in the planning phase and content production is top of mind, but I do think the real value and benefit of AI will be in different other fields in the future. At least this is my hypothesis out of the data and the interviews we've been conducting. Thomas? And that's a picture I draw from the internet. We need AI, since as we just saw, only 25% of companies have consolidated data, do have a data strategy, but we now stand up and say everybody's looking for AI. I do understand, since I've been working 20 years in corporate organizations, that sometimes it's good to have some fancy showcases and have some innovative stuff in terms of driving an organization, which I completely understand. But the question is still, we ask people, are you on the way to consolidate all your data points? Yes, somebody has to do it. So all the answers we got is it's not top of mind still, also from a company perspective. And with AI, the biggest challenge is the market is just flooded with tools. I had a discussion, I guess, 4 weeks ago with CMOs across Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and their major concern was they have far too many tools in the market, 2,500, 3,000 tools. So which tool is the right tool for me? I do think personally that's an irrelevant question, since the question is more starting from the business, from a use case, but everybody's looking we are flooded with tools. Number two, we have no in-house know-how available as of today. Plus the data is not sufficient. So we are flooded with tools. We have no in-house available, no know-how available in-house, and we have not consolidated our data. So my fear is, and this will all be a part of the discussion then later, that all AI initiatives currently going on across Europe will stay pretty much on a green field if we are not able to really get our hands around the tools, the use cases behind building up know-how and consolidated data points. Thomas? So last but not least, we also asked about sustainability. which I do think everybody has on its goals, has already changed corporate strategies. And we asked them what is the degree of implementation, so operational rationalization in your company? Would you sacrifice revenues and profits for reaching sustainability goals? Yeah. Take your heart on your hand, yes or no. And only something you can see it here, 29% of companies says yes, we would do that, or we would agree on that. So the majority of companies basically saying, yeah, sustainability is important, but when it comes to sacrificing revenues and profits, that's a different story. Have you already been able to align marketing activity and processes to sustainability goals? Yes, we've done something there already. So something like 60% says, yes, we have done something there. But when it comes to sacrificing sustainability for revenue and profit for sustainability, even if sustainability is embedded in our company and strategy and our marketing strategy, when it comes to revenue and profits, that's a different discussion. So my mother would have said, there's no way to be half pregnant. Yeah, either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. Yeah, either sustainability is part of your goals and ambitions or not. So those are a couple of elements on the European marketing agenda. Hope you find it interesting also for reading. As I said before, under emc.be, you can download the entire report. And now I'm just shifting over to Aiden. Aiden, thanks for having you here. You have a long history in analytics, data science, advanced analytics, and today in your agency, you're working with machine learning and basically bringing data science to a new level, which I find extremely interesting. So directly going in the interview with you, you saw the elements, you saw the results. So everybody experimenting with AI, but what for? Yeah, if you don't have consolidated data, you don't have the know-how, you're just flooded with tools. What can I do as a company?
Yeah, a good question. I think a question that many people have asked, Ralph. I think, as you were saying earlier on, you need to do your homework. You should really start with a strategy. You know, there's no doubting but that AI and advanced analytics can help marketing marketeers. So nobody is going to maintain their job if they say, I don't need AI, I don't need advanced analytics. So everybody needs it, and you should start with a strategy. But the point you've made repeatedly regarding data, that's key. You know, it's like somebody coming to you, a farmer coming to you and saying, look at what crops should I grow? Your question is, well, how much land do you have? You know, what's your land like? If you don't have land, if you don't have good land, well, you know, it changes everything. And I think the challenge that marketeers face is that there is this perennial disconnect between IT and marketing. Marketing have needs, IT don't understand them. This seems to be the case all over the world. And marketing is never fully, properly serviced by the IT department who control the data. Our point of view is, you know, you start with your data strategy, which really entails managing, retaining data, proper governance of data, and then you build your AI strategy on top of that. That's where you should start.
But is this a problem of IT? Since IT is just the enabler, the provider of the data infrastructure, yeah? Isn't that number one, data strategy plus number one, consolidation of data? Isn't that primarily a business problem? Since I've been working in business and IT, so I always struggle with, yes, IT should solve it. Absolutely no. IT is just the enabler. You guys in business, this is your task, or?
Well, ideally, yes, Ralph, you know, marketing should give direction to IT. And having been that person myself, I was once in IT many, many years ago, and I was moved into marketing. And that was so that I could facilitate conversation between the IT and marketing. That was in Vodafone many years ago. Marketing doesn't usually know what can be done, and IT doesn't know what needs to be done. So somebody needs to bridge that communication gap, whether it's somebody in IT who's a background in marketing or vice versa, somebody marketing with an IT background, but somebody needs to do it. And it's a poorly maintained line of communication within most businesses. But, when asked by marketeers, when they say, well, what data should I keep? What data should I ask my IT department to keep? I tell them, keep everything. We're not like back in 1990s, 1980s where storage was expensive, right? Storage is so cheap, right? It's not even a rounding error on the spreadsheet. Keep all your data, because the more data that you have, more historical data you have, the better your AI models will be.
I completely agree. Keep what you have, but what I've seen since I've been working for SAP and Volkswagen, the majority of my time in corporate organizations, what I've saw pretty often is that we are lacking methodology, knowledge about methodology. What is a use case? What is a requirement? So basically, it's missing. We have a missing language for the communication between business and IT. Yeah. Since sometimes people now large language models, everybody's talking about that or what the heck ever, Gen AI, yeah. So you're using words which you have no freaking idea what you're talking about, yeah. It's that fancy, it's hype to talk about those things. But if you then ask, I'm an old statistics guy also, yeah. If you ask about AI and you ask some sort of statistical questions, you find out in a couple of minutes they have no idea what they're talking about, yeah. So mechanics underneath. So it's corporate game to use vocabulary which you don't understand.
Yeah, that definitely is a problem. To be honest, not just for marketeers. I mean, jargon within IT is confusing for everybody within a business. And I think in this regard, marketeers can often, learn from each other. Like you mentioned there, for example, in the presentation, the percentage of companies, I think, who have a next best activity or next best offer solution in place. Like, I'm amazed that 20 years ago, that concept was already had a lot of traction in industry. And even today, most companies don't have something similar in place. Now, so, it's often the jargon is about the new stuff, but the old stuff isn't being done. And I think there's a lot of value in simply, as you said, consolidating your data, having proper insights, having proper reports. Most companies should be anticipating what their customers' needs are, and then also anticipating what the best intervention is for those customers. And that's before we even get to Gen AI. So I think there's a lot of, it's the bright new shiny toy. And look, I'd love for more companies to be doing Gen AI. That's one of the offerings that we have. But I think there's an awful lot of value in just getting good data, good reports, timely reports, good insights. And then, it's a pyramid. And you start with your data, then you start with your timely reports, then you start with your insights, then your forecasts, then your predictions, and then your prescriptions. And I think sometimes companies go straight in at the top. We want, a predictive model. So, well, do you have a data warehouse? No, we don't have a data warehouse. And so, well, go back and get one. That's really, there's a sequence of activities that companies should follow.
Do you think, since currently everybody's looking into content production, as a main area for usage of AI, I have an issue with that. As I said before, I do think there's more value will be in customer experience management, next best offer, causal AI, data analytics, data science, more data-driven pieces. Content production, stuff like that helps you on the operational level. Yes, cool to get started, but I do think the real value is somewhere else. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I think the production of content through AI will become so cheap. It's just a commodity. We're going to end up with a lot of very average content that nobody will consume. And I think in the area of customer care, I mean, we're all consumers, and I think the number of companies that we would rate as providing excellent customer care, you could count on, the fingers of one hand if you were Bart Simpson. It's just one of the worst parts of engaging with most brands is customer care. And I think AI offers a fantastic opportunity to improve it. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect today, but it would be an awful lot better, and give AI another 12, 18 months. And I think customer care will be fantastic. You know, that it will not be just generic answers. It will be specific account-based answers for that client, you know, whether it's in a banking scenario or some other scenario where the client maintains data on the customer. I think it's the most obvious place to invest in AI at the moment. It's in customer care.
Yeah, isn't that
because it's so poor?
Yeah, it's a first touch point, or one of the major touch points which a client normally does have with you as a company. And fully agreed. The question is also from some sort of schizophrenic, at least finding we do have out of the European marketing agenda is everybody's talking about we have a problem with know-how. You know, we need to build up know-how. We are missing skilled workers. Blah 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 blah. Then if you ask the same guys, how much is your spending on really qualified, dedicated training per year? Then everybody is shutting up. So everybody's yelling for more know-how and the training, educated people, know-how in AI and stuff like that. But if you say, are you really spending significantly from your HR personal budget on trainings? Then the answer is no, just occasionally. We just send them to conference.
Yeah.
See, it's a schizophrenic situation from my perspective. You're complaining about a situation which you're not solving.
Yeah, I think that's very true. You do see, you know, agencies with data scientists and the like, but they end up doing, I would say, day-to-day work, you know, generating insights, generating reports, rather than the more advanced stuff, which takes longer to deliver value. But if they were to invest the time and money in those people, they themselves would be able to deliver a lot more to their clients, because we find when we're talking to companies that the agencies that they've engaged are very good at giving, we say, transactional reports, but not on doing the more sophisticated modeling regarding, let's say, customer behavior. It's not really in the bailiwick of most practitioners, I would say. There are exceptions, you know, I don't want to generalize too much.
Yeah. What would be your advice to a company struggling with having not consolidated data? The board member requests AI, we need to do fancy stuff, plus you have issues with knowledge and majority of tools. You have underused CRM systems, so you're having basically the whole enchilada directly in front of yourself. What would be your advice? Go and do some sort of AI pilot, or you say, darling, clean up first and then come back?
Yeah, I'd like to give a straight answer, but I won't. Right? So I would say, look, there's no doubt, but you have to start with your strategy, your AI strategy, right? But before you even get that done, you can pick a small project within your organization that may be an internally facing one, not a customer facing one, that you can experiment around AI. You know, so you can start rolling the ball on experimenting with AI, do something low risk that would have an impact. Probably if it's got low risk, it will not have a massive impact, but something to cut your teeth on. But you do need to put your strategy in place. And the strategy will start with what is your data? What are data assets do you have? What's the governance you have around it? And really, how aligned are your assets, processes, and skills with your corporate KPIs? Right. So that's what you need to do. You go in, you say, well, what is this company trying to achieve? We know mostly it'll more profit, happier customers, but there will be specific KPIs that each company will have. And then we'll say, well, how do our underlying processes, assets, technology assets, people, skill sets, and culture, critically, how do they align with delivering on this strategy? And that's where companies need to start. And, you know, I could talk all day about culture. Culture is a massive thing, and it is a silent inhibitor of progress.
Yeah, at least the majority of companies, at least I know, currently everybody's focusing on AI. So everybody's trying to make like fast and furious. Yeah. So next step in career, in terms of we have a fancy topic, And what you're saying is do your methodology and your homework before, which I completely agree. But the board member is looking for his next election period or what the heck ever. So they will say, don't bother me with all your details, which is boring to me. Just get it done. Make me rich and famous. So should I then, as a CMO of a company, say, no, darling, I will not do that. First, we need to do our homework. Or should we better just do some sort of parallel things? Yeah, cleaning up plus having fancy pilots.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think putting a strategy in place will take long, and I agree you can do things in parallel. You know, they would be low risk things that you were experimenting with, learning about technology, its limitations, its capabilities. But at some point, whatever experimentation you have, it has to dovetail into your strategy. But you know, I think companies can put a strategy in place in 4 to 6 weeks. You know, strategy is high level. You don't have to get into, and I agree with your point you made earlier on regarding technology. You don't worry about technology. You know, whether you're working with Microsoft or Amazon or Google or Oracle, you know, all the offerings are going to be pretty similar in time, and most companies won't need the bleeding edge technology anyway. So you don't have to worry about technology. Get your strategy in place. There will be technology available to deliver on that strategy, most likely. And then, you know, so if your board member's asking for, you know, what's our AI strategy, I need to be able to report at the next quarterly meeting. You say, look, give me 4 to 6 weeks, give me some budget. I'll put a strategy in place, and we'll be actively doing something, you know, in 2 to 3 months.
Absolutely, completely agree. Yeah, you need to do both, basically. Appease your board members, on the one hand side, and on the other side, cleaning up all the things you've been doing. Thank you very much, Adam. Thanks for the interview. Let's go on.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's go on with some statements we prepared, Thomas. So the idea is basically to summarize the statements, plus also have, first of all, the introduction of today's presenters. Thomas? So, besides myself, good looking as always, I'm happy to have Andras Kovacs with us from Yettel, from an innovative telco company from Hungary. Andras, happy to have you with us. So, as you said in the briefing before, you're an old telco guy with something like 400 years of experience in telco, and first off on the incumbent side, like with Deutsche Telekom, and now really having an innovative startup rocking the Hungarian telco market. Happy to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
And on the second side, Jeroen de Backer from Airborne Audio. Jeroen, as an old agency guy, also in his past having launched food startups in the Netherlands. So I'm happy to see and discuss with him, how do you in this crazy world are still able to tell compelling brand narratives via audio? Jeroen, happy to have you with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
And from Idera Analytics, we already heard Adam. From Analytic Partners, we have Rory Donegan with us, a senior director from Analytic Partners. And one of the things which strike me, so Rory has long history in analytics on the agency side. So the interesting side is, for me, if AI and causal AI really comes to the table, then whole business models will change. And something what you had marketing mix modeling in the past, which everybody has been doing manually, and then you produced PowerPoint charts or the Tableau dashboards and pulling the results back, will change dramatically. Yeah, it will be more real-time, automated. So happy also to get your perspectives, Rory, on how will the data science, marketing mix modeling scenery change over time.
Great to be here.
Last but not least, Giedre from Lithuania. Since I'm the chief cheerleader of Lithuania, this is at least what I call myself. After getting connected to you and your colleagues, Giedre has a long history of building up e-commerce players in the Lithuanian markets on different languages, and now is working in Lithuania for Swiss money. A contradiction in itself, but again, what she's doing is really building up companies in a fast-moving mode. Happy to have you with us, Giedre.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. We prepared some sort of statements for you, and we would like to have these statements. Thomas, if you can go one slide down on the discussion which we're going to drive right now. So, what's your view about AI? For example, if you look at you, Andres, is it something on your daily work launching Yettel as an innovative a company in Hungary? Is it something which you have on your mind day and night, or you say yes, it's cool, it's a tool, but there are other things besides?
Most definitely, it's on my mind day and night. But as you mentioned a couple of times, quoting your mother, she's a very wise woman. We have to do the homework first. And I don't consider AI as a hype at all. I consider something that we are all jumping on very fast. All companies are eager, to look innovative, because I guess most of us are lacking the true innovation in the fields we are operating. At least in the telco, we are facing this, that we don't have that, like the true innovation as telco companies. And just looking for a tool, to make more appealing, and we are just forgetting to understand the application, forgetting to understand the technology behind, as you were all discussing. I think what is very enlightening and very true, that we should be able to incorporate AI into our everyday life. But I think we need to understand how it works. We need to clear out all the data concerns, where AI is being trained, what sort of data we are training with, and then come up with maybe new territories and applications where we can use AI, and not just looking at right away what we are going to change with AI in the current operations.
Yeah. You're a fast scaler, yeah? E-commerce. So basically, some of the issues an incumbent company does have, you normally should not have, yeah? Because you don't have 400 years of experience and back office applications in your back. How are you managing Swiss money AI? Is it something top of your mind? You say, yeah, well, it's just an operational tool, that's it, and nothing more.
Well, usually, most probably the most common saying I have about AI is the output of AI is as good as the input is. And actually, this is, most probably psychological like view on any technology. And that is very much related to the point of, what data can you put in order to get any output. So when it comes to Swiss money, for example, compared to like a previous company, so this is now a startup more of a size, yes, still. So that means that AI for me now is mostly about operations and customer success. This is because this is, very early in the stage. So this is the best marketing and best retention tool you can get is about customer success. And in order to be able to scale and not to scale it through the number of people, this is where you usually start. So, the answer is absolutely on the table. But besides all the regular things, content and stuff, or forecasting opportunities while using AI, first, for me, it's about customer success and all the things you can actually use it around it in order to eliminate human touch where it's not needed and where mistake is with a higher possibility than providing it, to the machine who is doing it quite well. So absolutely on the agenda, but with a very specific focus, not all around the place, because usually on while scaling business, you do on the clear stages.
I always say, summarizing what you said, I always say when it comes to MarTech and tools and overall, a fool with a tool is still a fool. Yeah. So if you're not doing your homework or what you've been saying, yeah, then it doesn't help you. Yeah? Basically, it's just the enabler for achieving something.
But by the way, I wanted to add, you say, that small companies do not have this issue, having all the different platform systems, and then, having data in one place is actually not a problem startup companies face. Well, actually, it's not really true, because the thing is that, it's all about fast scale. So how it happens? No, everyone wants, okay, I'm connecting this tool, I'm connecting this tool just in order to be able to do something in 2 weeks, in 1 week, or whatever, And at a really fast-paced environment, this is what happens. At the end of the day, you see, oh my God, I have 20 tools, different data points in different places. For me to connect and validate the data is a huge issue. And then, go with the second round, actually eliminating all those unneeded tools to consolidating. So I definitely went through this many times and still do, trying to minimize and consolidate in one place, because out of this huge wish to do it fast, because this is the environment I operate, usually take the third-party tool without maybe sometimes thinking all the architecture through.
So basically, even in fast scaling the startup, you're doing the same issues and problems and errors like these large incumbents have done the last 30, 40, 50 years ago, and you just repeat it. Cool. Jérôme, do I need something like telling brand narratives through audio? Will it be still in the market in future? Since the content production will be pretty much based on AI, so you're just streamlining your AI, your large language models, and it's done. Or so you have an easy job as an agency in this field, or?
Yeah, well, a very good question. Well, I think that at the moment we look at all kinds of tools that we can use to make our content creation and content production more efficient and of a better quality. So that's pretty much something which makes our work easier and better. But I don't know if what we are doing is still there in a few years' time. Because well, you all see that the developments with the cloning of voices, etc., goes very fast, and that will of course have a big impact on our business. Yes.
The question is really will AI then change the business landscape and business models? So this also goes over to Rory, since you've been doing with analytic partners marketing mix modeling all the time through, and the old marketing mix modeling means I give you all my data, you do all the analytics, multivariate regression models and stuff like that, and you come back in terms of telling me which sort of channel should have more budget or less budget and stuff like that. So will not, with causal AI and AI overall, will this model not change dramatically?
I don't think there's a near time future where it's going to completely overhaul. I think we're going to see iterations. I think that's what we're building towards. We're being pretty deliberate in what we do with AI, how we leverage it, what we're using it for, and the use cases around that. We think that there has to be significant human intervention, human oversight into what's coming out of the models, and really importantly as well about what goes into those models as well. So I think, Guidra, I think you mentioned something about training data and the data that actually goes in and making sure that those sort of things are of high quality. That's massively important to us. So we need to make sure that what goes in is absolutely correct. The training data that's being used in any of our solutions, in any of our outputs, or to generate any of the outputs is of the absolute highest quality, because the impact that can have for our advertisers, for our clients that work with us, is absolutely huge. So at a big scale. So if they make a decision based off flawed inputs and flawed outputs, that has a massive implication on their growth objectives and what they can actually achieve. So we need to be pretty cautious around that and make sure that what goes in is really sound before we can.
Yeah, we just talked about tools and stuff like that, but I do think if I look at marketing mix modeling, the issue is more on another side. Since we have asked in another service, we have been asking large corporations on how often are you going to do marketing mix modeling? And only, I'm not sure, 10, 15% or so say we do it on a continuous basis, over the entire year. The majority, I guess, 40% or 50% just said we do it once a year. And so just once for the initial planning, and then we throw it all away, since we all know the initial plans, 50-60% might be changed over a year. So basically, so why in the world, again, we're coming to methodology, training, tools, expertise, know-how. Why in the world are you doing marketing mix modeling? Is it just some sort of means to justify an initial yearly budget? Okay, but that's a pretty expensive exercise, yeah, just to justify my budget, and then you throw it all away. So how do you educate companies to on a permanent level think about data and marketing mix models and stuff like that, and channel optimization, since otherwise everything's been done in marketing mix modeling is just for the waste paper basket again?
Yeah, and there's nothing more disheartening than working with a client and coming back 12 months later and figuring out that they haven't implemented any recommendations that you've made to them. So I think, having worked in the space for about 12 years or so, it's wholly shifted from those once a year, once every 2 years, once every 3 year solution to a more continuous, more always on approach. It's more frequently for our clients, it's coming down to maybe quarterly updates to make sure that we're integrating into those quarterly planning cycles. But it is a large portion of what we do and our roles is change management and making sure that we're integrating what we do within the company that we're working with. And that's really coming to this marketing or operations piece and making sure that there's buy-in from key stakeholders within the company. And really importantly as well, it's not just bringing along finance or marketing or the commercial teams, it's also bringing along their agency partners as well. So one impact or one instance we have of that would be media agencies who we work with pretty closely. We give them access to our tools and make sure that when they're updating tools or when they get a brief from the client, they're running optimizations and simulations based on the historic output to make sure that it's actually bringing it to life. And actually it'll give them a forecast or a simulation on what they expect to happen in the future, be that best case scenario, worst case scenario, and game out different options that they can actually do.
Yeah. The question is also, now you're talking about working with media agencies. Don't we need also to enrich the knowledge within the corporate organizations? Since I've had a chat last year with an organization spending something like 180 million euros a year, and I asked the person who was responsible for media budgets, I asked her, do you have enough knowledge on marketing mix modeling, on multivariate statistics, stuff like that, yeah, to understand, basic understanding of what you're doing? And she said, no, we do trust in our media agency. So she's been giving me an answer, which was not the question. Yeah. So basically, don't we need to have also, we talked about AI and tools and MarTech also here, don't we need to have more knowledge, know-how on the side of the advertisers?
Yeah, I mean, there absolutely does. It is a huge portion of it is education and bringing them along, hand-holding them through methodology session, education workshops, and then implementation workshops as well is really important. So once we've got buy-in on methodology, ideally at the very start, at the outset of a project, we make sure we handhold them through actual using it and making sure that there's actionable recommendations that they're bought in on and that they know that they can take action on, and that's really important.
And Dieter, do you need not to have some sort of other department like what has been mentioned in the survey, marketing operations, a dedicated department only making sure that those things really work out?
Well, actually, I was so impressed with talking while Rory was talking, because I had quite of a journey in terms of modeling and econometric model, which we actually designed. So the story behind, actually, it's very relevant, I believe. The story behind was that I was looking for an opportunity to do econometric model. Started to build inside, but well, it was too difficult actually to do it fully in-house. So then we joined the agency. This is exactly what you told, yeah? So we tried to combine two teams. And the funniest fact was actually that out of our huge cooperation, we have a new company on the Baltics who is actually doing exactly what you are doing. They are just doing the marketing mix modeling. So out of this cooperation, we actually even created a company, and the journey within was, as you say, it was until we actually made to the point that we provide data every day not quarterly, yearly, or whatever, every day. From every day, we went even to an hourly update to provide the opportunity to learn. Then from that point, we also included, we had this team cooperations, and the team actually works together. So sitting in one office to understand what is there needed, you know, what are the inputs which makes the difference, what are the inputs which actually makes the data to be wrong. And at the recent cooperation results, actually, we had a business case. Then within a month, while changing and adapting the model towards the new goals we had, already using external data, third-party data, competitors' data together with our internal data, we managed from the minus 20 of the drop in a trend to improve it to plus 7 the very next month of targets we had within just a fraction of budget increase. So I'm a huge advocate for the tool. I had a really wonderful experience and great business case, and everyone who is listening, you have to do that. But again, everything starts with the input. We had the same model working for us for many years until we did the homework. It was never producing good result.
Yeah, and this is my concern is also talking about again data. Yeah, if you don't have consolidated data, if you don't work with the tools, if you don't understand the tools, yeah, if you don't understand what is behind, you don't need to understand all statistical models in detail, but you need to understand the mechanics behind. Yeah, get your arms around. Yeah. Otherwise, you will not be able to get the value out of it. I do think for Andres, for Yettel, you're coming out of a corporate universe where I guess everything was there, yeah, marketing mix modeling and tools and stuff like that. How do you manage it now in Yettel? Fast scaler, telco, startup within Hungary. Are you directly said, hang on guys, stop, I need to have marketing mix modeling, data alignment, or you just keep on going?
No, definitely not keep on going. Yeah, basically, I started 2 months ago here at this company, and at the moment is what we are doing is compiling the data. We all realize that we need to have in-house data understanding and in-house media capabilities as well. I think it's a great opportunity for a whole company to be able to get closer to delivery and to understand what sort of data we are collecting of people, what sort of data we are having of our customers, and how we can leverage on. So at the moment, we are setting up basically this mutual understanding, at least doing an audit, what sort of data we are having as a telco company. And of course, it's a very well-regulated market. So even though you imagine we have a lot of data of customers, I can assure you we only have half of it as you imagine, and we are not able to use any of those that you imagine we are having. So it's we are on very tight scale in that sense. But given that we are communicating a lot, we have multiple touch points, of course, where people can interact with us. We are collecting a fair amount of data, but we have to keep in mind the ever-changing data regulations of the EU, the changing cookie policies, the new technologies coming into life, such as the AI, or the new possibilities that we can go into streaming and advertise on streaming platforms. So there are a lot of new disruptive meanings that coming up along. And I'm glad actually that at the moment we are in the phases of setting up this new modeling, which could be a backbone for growth and which could be a backbone for optimizing the communications and optimizing how we reach customers, how we can get more personalized with them, how we can leverage on the technology that is existing around.
Yeah, so this goes pretty much in the direction, Adam, what you've been saying before, yeah? Doing your data strategy, getting all the bits and pieces together before you do anything else, or?
Exactly. First, I think we shouldn't jump ahead because the trend dictates us. Because I've seen marketing mix modeling setting up in the past, and it takes a lot of commitment from the stakeholders. It takes a lot of effort from the company, and I think it's well worth to set the scene right and collect as many stakeholder involvement, collect as many data points as possible, make sure that the data is clear as much as it can be, make sure that your data source is transparent, rather than just pushing something, and then it's quite likely to fail.
Adam, statement from your side.
Yeah, Ralph, I just want to make a separate point, which is maybe a little bit contrarian, right? And again, not in my own interest. we have seen many times where, you know, companies are suffering. Let's say their, you know, sales are decreasing, or they're losing customers, and I suppose, you know, sometimes there's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction where they say, oh, we just need analytics, we need AI, we need, you know, and that will solve our problem. Sometimes you go in, right, and, you know, you can build, let's say, great predictive models using AI, deep learning, machine learning, whatever, but it won't change anything, right? You know, that comes down to the marketeer's challenge. You know, what is the proposition, you know, and the best analytics in the world won't sell a bad proposition. And that's something that we have seen, you know, unfortunately too many times, you know. And, you know, you can use analytics to understand why the proposition might be failing, but it won't, you can't sell a poor proposition just because you're using analytics.
Absolutely. This is not doing one thing or the other, but it's always a combination with an and in between. Yeah. And
absolutely.
But the question is, how do you solve it within an organization? Yeah, you have your classical brand management, event data, what the heck ever, or in the case of Jérôme, you have somebody taking care for audio as a separate channel. But you need to have some sort of cross-functional teamwork, which is normally not part of a corporate DNA. So if you work with companies, Jérôme, talking about audio, so we need to have different skills coming to the table. Yes. Sometimes it's not just the audio as a channel anymore, but data, analytics, content, brand, everybody pulling together. What do you see working with companies?
Me?
Well,
oh, sorry, no.
Not Jérôme.
Sorry. Well, I do several things, amongst others, a podcast. But the problem with podcasts is that the data is not that available yet, and especially good user-related data. So I'm going to answer this from a audio perspective, because audio is the less digitalized medium that people consume. Well, they consume it in a digital way, but there's still a lot of change taking place. But no, I think the challenge is well, to make sure that you know what you want to achieve, and that you know what the use case is, and that you then look at what kind of data you need, and where you can find the data within the company. To start somewhere, and this is what I did in the past a couple of times. Work with cross disciplinary teams, just to make sure that you were able to answer the business question, because I think it always starts there.
Yeah. See, the interesting thing is what you all say in common is, and do your homework first. It's not fast and furious. Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Yeah, it's not fast and furious and try to have something implemented very soon, but do your proper homework first. If it's data consolidation, data strategy, if it's having the right capabilities, having the use cases coming from the strategy. But does any one of your companies, if it's Yettel or an e-commerce startup, Guidre, is having the patience, let yourselves the time to really think about use cases? So what I pretty often see is fast and furious, get a tool, buy it now. Yeah, so it's like in the Martech Toys R Us shop, something like that. Yeah, just go out and then I've been selling software in my previous life, so I know how it works. Yeah, I show you fancy interfaces, I show you some sort of functionalities. I always call it click demos. So the entire demo is set up in a way just to fulfill your needs, which you currently have, and then to make an easy deal with you, yeah, to phrase it that way. But what you guys are saying is, no, darling, lean back, do your homework. From a methodology perspective, clean it up. Guidre, is it possible in a fast scaler to say, oh, hang on, guys?
Well, I believe, this is the reason why usually even a startup tries to have at least one person with experience, so he could help to avoid major mistakes, or consultancy is very very much popular now, sharing these things. So, and and it's not one way or the other. It's not black or white. Usually you are trying to meet somewhere in between, to have enough speed in terms of some decision making. But, since you can imagine, if I've been going 10 years going through the, cleaning up things. So every time, I'm with another company which is about to go the same way, for sure I will have strength to stop them from doing that. Yes. So that is, I would say, what I overall see in the startup environment, that usually, even quite in the early stage, they try to find some support with some experience before that. So to avoid these mistakes, not to be so fast in terms of tools, what they use, and not to have like 10 tools for actually same function to do, which happens also. So just in different department. So that is something I see a directional way, and I'm super happy. I believe it's better than it used to be.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think maybe if I can add something, what we try to do with projects is fast prototyping and show business value first before spending a lot of time on something. And I think that really helps because still there are a lot of people in the board who don't know what to expect, and they also think it's often difficult to make decisions with investments. Big investments in time or money before they have seen what you can do. When I was in the radio business, we built a tool that could predict what kind of numbers created people stopping listening, for example. And we just made a small proof of concept with 2 hours of music to show what it could do. And these kind of small projects can help to change the culture within the company, but also to make sure that you get the right investments for the right projects.
Yeah. I have a last question this afternoon to you. Since I named the question, the whole roundtable on it's a schizophrenic situation. The 2 findings. Number 1 is everybody in the survey and interviews agreed you need to have customer journey analysis first of all. Yeah? Everybody says yes, absolutely. Have you done that? Yeah, only 25%, as I said before. Same thing with sustainability. Yeah? It's just lipstick service, which drives me crazy, quite honestly. Yeah, which is not part of my DNA. Same with sustainability. Everybody's talking about sustainability. I know across Europe there are bunches of conferences about sustainability and how the world should be changing. If you then turn the question around, would you sacrifice revenues and profits for sustainability? Yeah, then it becomes fluffy puffy. Yeah, yeah. So again, trying to be something like half pregnant. Yeah, I want to have fancy MarTech tools and AI, but I'm not trying to do the dirty work with customer journey analysis mapping. I'm trying to be sustainability, have top of my mind and agenda on the one hand side, but would you go the long way and really sacrifice revenues and do the dirty work, then all the sacrificing profits? No, not really. How do we resolve it? Yeah, it's a contradiction in itself all the time. My mother would have said, go one way. Make your choice, darling. When you marry, you also need to take a choice.
I might start on the sustainability section if I could. I love your cynicism, Ralph. It's great. But I think you're completely right in that there's a lot of lip service in the industry at the moment about sustainability, but without a lot of follow through on would they sacrifice profits to be able to get there. We've been speaking to some data providers lately. We've been speaking to some customers who have, we've asked them openly the question, would you sacrifice revenue for sustainability goals? And by and large, their answer is that it needs to be a balance. So one of the use cases for sustainability data within what we do with commercial mix modeling would be the ability to optimize towards the sustainability or reducing carbon footprint for the media plans or the media simulations that you're running. In that, if you have 2 plans side by side, both could, in theory, deliver the same amount of revenue for the same cost. but there could be a tiebreaker there between one having a higher carbon footprint than the other. It's a no-brainer to be able to go for the one with the lower carbon footprint, but that needs buy-in from the company to do it. It's not an easy endeavor to be able to get there, to be able to optimize against a second KPI, but it's absolutely possible. So we're working through pilots like that at the moment with some of our clients and our customers, and I think that's a really nice use case and a nice balance of not having to sacrifice revenue, while also being able to still go after something that is more socially responsible.
Guido, does the same apply for you?
Yeah, I actually had in different businesses, still in commerce, but I had a chance to work with sustainable fashion business. So it's very much related. And most probably, that is for sure something I would like to share from the point that, first of all, we started our conversation from the thing that there cannot be a sustainability strategy. There is only one strategy, and sustainability has to be within that strategy. So that was most probably our first approach, when we started overall the discussion. Then the second step was, and I'm really happy to share that is mainly the topic which I tried to contradict. It's not always that you have to get to say goodbye to profits just because you are more sustainable. And to confirm this phrase, so what we did, we actually changed the model, the way we operated. We refused of 80% of the assortment we had before. We switched to only 4 different fabrics. We changed the how we actually produce and where produce them. So and out of this, we had increased our average order value and profits by double, just because we not only had different assortment strategy, different sustainability strategy, different pricing strategy. We had one strategy within which sustainability, together with all the other elements, because it was driving the choice, right? It was driving the choice, it was driving the different assortment idea. We get rid of the collections and stuff like that. This is when it became actually the core of it. And I'm more than happy to say that we have seen the positive numbers in terms of profit, not negative. So that is what I usually encourage to say. If you put it on the side, then it is a cost line for you to change something. If you try to integrate that, it can and may open you a new ways of working, which might even become your source of profit.
Absolutely, Anders. Does it also apply for you in the telco business?
Yeah, I just really loved these last sentences. Thank you. So I really believe that you can make sustainability as part of your business case in all level in where you operate. And I mean, sustainability, is an umbrella for many things. One is the environmental issues, which are very important and has to be incorporated. And coming from a telco, it's quite simple for us because we try to digitize all our operations, become digital. Of course, we have to care about the footprint, what's sort of footprint we are having in the digital operations. But I think we are not the most polluting from that sense. But then again, there are like other responsibilities we have to take care of under sustainability. And going back to the initial topic, the AI, like taking care that the data we are having is transparent, is legal, is ethical. There are like these kind of things that we could use and introduce into our operational model to make sure that we are not just taking care of the environment as such, but also the societies we are existing within. And I'm coming from a purpose-driven company, Deutsche Telekom, which is all part of that. We need to grow with the society, and I like this very much. Having this case that in order for a company to operate, we have to help the society to thrive as well. And I'm really hoping that more and more companies will introduce such meaningful thinking into their operations, because that's how we can survive, basically.
What are you seeing in the Netherlands around working with clients when it comes to sustainability? Do they take it serious, or is it just some sort of a more lipstick service?
No, I think they take it seriously. And from my perspective, I can tell you from the audio perspective that a lot of clients, they use podcast as a medium to tell about what they are doing. because in advertising, it's often greenwashing, or it feels a bit like greenwashing, or it's difficult to explain what you are doing related to sustainability. And in a podcast, you have the time to explain what you're doing. You have context. You can also bring in other experts. So a lot of our projects are sustainability related because I think our clients take it very serious, and they also understand that they need to explain what they are doing because it's very complex.
Thanks. So we started this afternoon with Adam, although I'm trying to close it with you. And so no pressure on you, Adam. The point is, if we both meet in 1 year at a bar, we already had 3 glasses of beer. What would you want to tell me about the state of AI in companies across Europe? You say AI is set up, it's running, it's part of the operational business, or is AI still some sort of greenfield, test field, or where are we? 1 year.
Yeah. In 1 year's time, Ralph, I looking at the adoption of other technologies. I think we will have the usual early adopters who will be powering ahead, increasing the gulf between them and the rest. And we'll have a lot of companies, who have they'll talk a good talk, they'll talk about in their strategy, but the execution and implementation will be way behind where it should be. I think furthermore, I'll be saying to you, Ralph, I couldn't have imagined how much progress AI was going to make in a year, and I underestimated it again. I think where it's going, the rate of innovation is accelerating. We're on this hockey stick curve now, and there's going to be some massive winners and massive losers, and there's going to be new companies coming up that we never heard of, and they will be really disruptive to many industries. And I think in one way, Ralph, it's very exciting, but I think, this is like electrification, You got to get on board. You're not going to continue your business if you're not using electricity, and you're not going to continue in business if you're not using AI. I would say that AI is going to permeate our technologies anyway, whether we like it or not. But if you're talking about understanding customer behavior, predicting customer behavior, you're going to have to get your hands dirty and really get into the data and start using some of the tools that are out there.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I do think one of the topics which will drive us around for the next coming years is the whole thing about organizations, skills, knowledge, capabilities, internal processes. So which sort of insourcing versus outsourcing, which sort of these skills and know-how do you need to insource? Since I'm always frightened if you don't understand what somebody's doing, what Rory's been saying, the media agency is doing everything for me. Yes, okay, cool. But still, as an advertising company, I would like to understand it, get my arms around from a methodology perspective. Same with AI or with sustainability. So what the heck are we going to do? I don't need to understand it all in detail, but at least conceptually, I need to get my arms around. So although for us as the European Marketing Confederation, I do think a couple of things for the next coming years. So hope you stay tuned. For this afternoon, a big thank you goes to the Netherlands, to Ireland, in the UK, Lithuania, and lovely Hungary. Thank you very much for your time. For all the listeners, we had almost 80 colleagues joining this conversation this afternoon. Thank you very much. If further questions are coming up, please do not hesitate to touch base with us. And as I said, the full version of the European Marketing Agenda is under emc.be, so just download it and send us flowers, roses, and endorsements. Thank you very much for this afternoon. Thanks, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.